Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Danny's Life and Travel. And yes, I've been off for a little while, but I'm back. I was sick for a while, so took some time off. Right, back to AMD. So what's happening with AMD? I'll just show you on my charts. AMD right now is going down and sideways. It's either going sideways or it's going down. I asked after the last earnings, which was here roughly. I sold out at about $15.10 on the day. It did go higher, but I sold out at that point because I asked a simple question, and that question was, what makes it go higher from here? So if you look at the trend, what it's been doing in the past, so every time there was positive news, it would jump up and then it'd get dragged back down. Positive news again, jump up, come back down, positive news again, and it did that time and time and time again. So I thought, okay, earnings will be no different. Positive news, it goes up, and then it's going to go back down, which is what happened anyway. So once it had the pullback around here, I was thinking about buying in again, and I asked on the I think Yahoo comments, I asked guys, I said, okay, what makes this go up in the next 2-3 months? Because all the announcements have happened. You've had the annual shareholders meeting, you've had the launch of the RX 580, the Epic launch, and partnership with Google and all the rest of it, the cryptocurrency news, which we didn't expect, so that was good as well. So all these things have already happened. All the positive news is out there. The only thing that was left was RX Vega, right? And RX Vega, what happened with that was, whilst this was going down, they launched RX Vega, and RX Vega is basically it takes too much power to power it, too much electricity. It's slower. I've seen the reviews. I mean, in many cases, it's on par with the GTX 1070. In some titles, it's in between the 1070, 1080, and then in a few titles, it's on par with the 1080 GTX 1080, and then in I think 1 or 2 titles, it's even higher than that. It's better than that, and between the 1080 and 1080 Ti. So that's where it is. So it's not beating the 1080 Ti. The little, when we had I think the Ryzen launch, when they were doing that, they had this little advert, about join the revolution and all that, and on one of the walls it said Volta. So everyone assumed that they would be aiming for Volta. And for me, I put the RX GTX, was the RX Vega, I put that between the 1080 and 1080 Ti. I thought it'd be somewhere between that, and that's enough. If it's priced right and it's not power hungry, and I assumed that the power, that it would consume less power, because with Ryzen, it did consume less power. It was much better. So I thought, if it's the same as Ryzen, consumes less power, it's priced right, and it's between the 1080 and 1080 Ti, then they'll take market share. It'll be fine. Right now, it didn't come in at that. It came up below that. So the expectations, it didn't beat the expectations. It actually came in below expectations to some extent. So there's that issue. So if I honestly ask myself the question, if I was going to buy a graphics card and I had the 1080 on one side and I had RX Vega on the other side, yeah, and the 1080 is, the RX Vega is more expensive, it's $600, right? And it takes more electricity to power it than the 1080, right? And it's a lower price. Then which one would I go for? I'd go for the 1080, right? Because again, it's more efficient in terms of power and performance and everything. So that's what I was thinking. So, and I asked everyone, I said, what will it make it go up and make the stock go up in the next 3 months? And nobody could answer that. So I don't think anything moves it up higher. My original estimate was $70 to $20 conservatively, and that put all this in there. Plus we had the then they said that they're gonna do laptops towards the end of the year, and so on. And Intel just launched a chip. There was a news article about Intel launching a chip specifically for laptops. So Intel's already doing that right now. So they've got competition there. So it's not as certain as it would seem. And I think a lot of the people were right. Every time there was good news, yes, there was a reason to be optimistic, but then they were right, to sell off to some extent, because they didn't believe that it was sustainable. And this is kind of being shown out, is bearing out right now. You can see it that it may not be sustainable to some extent. Now I know there's the cryptocurrency thing going on even now, and all the graphics chips are selling out, right? So it's not an issue in the short term. But my point was, it's not on earnings, because we'll only know the real numbers in the next earnings. So my point was, from now up until next earnings, what makes it go up? And there's no catalyst as far as I can see. Nothing makes it go up. And then from the earnings, yeah, we expect good earnings. But if you really look at it, so this is AMD. But if you look at what the expectation is pretty high anyway. Let's see if I can see it on here. So you see, that's what they expect. They expect 0.07 EPS. And last time the expectation wasn't so bad, and we beat, right? We beat it in Q2 by a good margin. It's all right, and that was due to cryptocurrencies. And then they raised forward guidance, remember, based on that cryptocurrency. So the projections were raised based on the cryptocurrency, and so now that's been priced in by my thinking. It's already been priced in, and what you're looking at is they've got high expectations now. So because they've got high expectations, it's going to be even harder to beat that. And if they miss that, yeah, or if they just hit it, yeah, just like they did in Q1, the stock could drop. But if they miss it, it's definitely going to drop, right? So expectations are high, and it's a tough landscape for them. So they're stuck there. This is the problem that we have right now. So what have we got here? Threadripper is pretty good. They did. I think the Ryzen side is pretty good. They're doing very good on the Ryzen side, the CPU side, and with the Infinity Fabric, it'll only get better next year as well. But having said that, it's going to take them a while. We're talking a year, maybe 2 years, to really gain traction and show that they can consistently beat expectations and take market share. But in the next 3 months, I don't think any of this affects it. So this is why I got out of AMD. I haven't gone back into it. What I did go into is Nvidia. I went into Nvidia. Show you the first graph. So Nvidia right now, it went down, but it's going kind of sideways. It's no big movements really. With Nvidia, why did I go into Nvidia? One of the things you can see right now on these articles is one of the key points that AMD was making is that the games are not optimized for their CPUs and their GPUs, because everyone else has been in the market for so long. Like Nvidia has been in the market for so long for gaming, Intel has been in the market for gaming for so long, and so all the games are optimized for their chips. So based on that, Nvidia is now working with games producers, like all these companies that are making, what is it? Got Final Fantasy here. You got this other game, what is it? Player Unknown, which has been developed. And Nvidia is working with these companies to make their games better, right? And I think they're gonna make sure that their games, their chips, Nvidia chips, have an edge, because these games are very well optimized for their gaming, for their GPUs. I think Intel will be doing the same stuff, trying to do that. Intel also has underhand tactics. I was reading about that, where they would pay suppliers to basically not stock AMD stuff, and just give loyalty bonuses and all kinds of stuff to suppliers and distributors and so on. Sorry, suppliers is the wrong word. All distributors, anyone who's selling this stock, anyone who's selling any computers or anything, any manufacturers, they'll just bribe them. And those are underhand tactics that have been going on for a long time. And this is one of the worrying things, that because of all these tactics that Intel will try, will AMD have a chance? And it's up in the air. And this is why I think people are not sure whether to go into AMD. But with Nvidia, they don't have that issue. They got a ton of cash, they're in consistent profit, and Yes, on the gaming side, they saturated the right where they could be the highest. So the only way is down, I suppose, to some extent. So, but we won't know until the smoke clears, so to speak. So you've got the cryptocurrency thing going, and that's muddying the water. You can't really see if Nvidia is losing market share, because any drop in sales you see AMD taking, so if AMD is selling the chips and they're taking some market share from Nvidia, you can't tell that, because that drop in market share is being made up by the cryptocurrency boom. So you can't really tell either way, and I think it's going to be a while before we get to see anything. And the other great thing that Nvidia did is AMD in the earnings call didn't embrace cryptocurrency. They didn't talk a lot about it like in positive terms. Nvidia did. Nvidia said, yep, we're ready to rock and roll. That's what Jensen Huang said. And the key point there is that Nvidia has a specific GPU for cryptocurrency. And what they're hoping is when people try to sell that on the secondary market after, let's say there's a crash in the cryptocurrency, people try to sell those GPUs, they can't really sell them, because they they're only optimized really for mining cryptocurrencies. They're not really made for gaming, if you know what I mean. So this is why they'll have a hard time selling those, and so it won't affect the gaming revenue in the future. But AMD hasn't done that. They're saying that at one point they were saying there is going to be one. There was a rumor that they're going to bring one out, but I haven't seen anything from management saying yes, we have a specific card for cryptocurrencies and we're proud of it and we think it's going to do well and that's going to protect us from any revenue issues in the future. They're not saying that. Yeah, they just say, oh, we don't see it as being a factor. That's it. You can't just fob it off like that. You have to really address it. The other thing that I really liked about Nvidia was Nvidia has the autonomous driving agreements. There's more than 200 companies and partnerships that they have, and they're going to start showing some progress next year. So next year there's about, I think, 7 companies that are going to bring out robot taxis or autonomous taxis, level 5s. And that's really, really good, because once that starts to set off and people start using those, and they're going to go into beta testing this year, and then next year they'll be in commercial use, they're saying. So that's really good, because let me just open up the article if you can see it here. Because it's really good, because then the revenue starts coming in, and right now the revenue makes, I think, about 6% of Nvidia's revenue. Once that starts going up like a rocket, you'll see a lot of the investors come in and the stock price going up. So what have we got? We've got Tesla in October. That was last year. They had an issue with Mobileye. I remember they had that California crash. So Mobileye said, no, we should take a step back and take it easy, not call it autopilot, call it something else. Tesla said, no, you've sold the thing to us. We're going to do what we want with it, really. So the Mobileye refused to supply Tesla anymore. So Tesla went over to Nvidia, and Tesla's also producing their own chip in-house for this purpose. And it's going to take years, obviously, to produce that. But in the meantime, Nvidia's got that partnership and they're working with it. They've also got a partnership with Volkswagen or Audi. Audi's got a 2018 model A8 coming out, and that's going to be level 3 autonomous. So it's cruise control, probably some steering. But it's not going to be level 5. Level 5 is the taxi bots coming out. Daimler's also got a partnership. Toyota, which is huge, has got a partnership. Baidu's got a partnership with them. So it's going pretty good. So they're talking about your level 4 involves a high level of automation, and it's just one step away from the fully autonomous. So they're just talking about that, and they're getting it done as well. So they've got a huge head start on everyone else. And although the gaming side, they've gone as far as they can get, they are doing pretty good. Another thing was that they launched Volta for the server side to power AI inferencing, all the rest of it. And Volta, they're saying, is 100 times faster than the previous generation. But the key point there was that they never launched Volta for the gaming. So they did the same with Pascal. With Pascal, they launched it for the server side, and then within I think a month or two, they launched it for gaming, and that's the GTX 1080, 1080 Ti. But the thing is that they haven't done it for Volta, and I think they're keeping that as a reserve. And somebody did ask him on an earnings call, what if Vega comes out, and will you be launching it? And he said that he doesn't see anything changing. He doesn't see AMD being a threat to him, in terms of being competitive. And he's right, he brought out the 1080 Ti, that was enough to put AMD in second place again. And Volta will be there on the shelf just in case they need it, right? And they're still developing future architecture. And I had a quick look at the core count and so on, and Volta is really twice the speed of Pascal, so it's got twice the core count, so it should be twice the speed. So if it's twice the speed, and we can't AMD can't even beat the GTX 1080, consistently, or the 1080 Ti even can't even get close to that, then how can it beat Volta? It can't. It won't even get close to that. So even if they double it, the core count, and I think the performance will be lagging, and the power consumption will be huge. So that's the negatives for AMD, but for Nvidia it's pretty good. So they're doing pretty good moving forward. That's one thing. The other one, what was that? I think it was the gaming. They're partnering with Gamescom and Square Enix. So they were at Gamescom, and they partnered with Square Enix to bring out Final Fantasy, and there's other games as well that they're doing. So they're good on the gaming side. Overall, I think AMD after the next earnings, I would be very cautious on the earnings for what is it, in 3 months' time. So that's in November time. Be very cautious on that for AMD. For Nvidia, fine. I think they'll do well. They got higher margins now, and plus they're growing at a really fast pace. I think they'll do really well. And another thing I saw, which is kind of curious, if you look at the earnings, it's been like hit, miss, hit, like that. And I don't know if this has any correlation or if it means anything, but it also lines up pretty well for what I'm thinking. So let's give you a gist of this. So we had AMD, which in May's earnings, it went down. And now this earnings, it was up. At least for the, when it opened, when the market opened, it was up by what, 5%, 10%, whatever it was. It was up. That's after the earnings. So the earnings were after the bell, the night before, right? The day before. And then the next day when it opens up, it's higher, right? So it's up on earnings. And previous to that, in May, it was actually after they made the announcement on the earnings call, it actually dropped by 15% pre-market, and then it opened up lower. So and if you look before that, it was up. So it's up, down, up, and then the next one correlates to it. In November, it's going to be down, right? AMD is going to be down, if I'm right. And then Nvidia is the opposite. So Nvidia now was down. So last earnings it was up. This earnings it was down, and the next earnings it should be up, right? I don't know if this actually works, but it seems. I mean, if you just look at that pattern, it seems to suggest it's going to be up next earnings. So I'm in Nvidia right now. I'm going to stay there for 3 months, see what happens. I know I missed these 70%, 60% plus. When it shot up by that much in terms of value. And I was stuck in AMD at the time. Remember in May, on May the 1st, it dropped. I was stuck in that. I didn't come out. I left it alone. On May the 9th, Nvidia went up on earnings, and so I missed that rally. Maybe I should have sold out, but when you're losing money, I don't like to sell out. I don't take a loss, generally speaking. But anyway, I'm in profit. Can't complain. Nobody went bankrupt from taking a profit, according to Warren Buffett. So that's what's going on right now. So that's that. I don't know what else I could say. Moving forward, I think next year AMD will do pretty well. You know, if they do the 7 nanometer design, it means they can make the CPUs and GPUs twice as fast. That's quite possible for them. But on top of that, yes, there will be a huge pain in the neck for Intel, and they'll take some of their business. But then, if you really look at it, this is how I did it. Say they don't take any of Nvidia's business, or they can't because of, you know, like I said, you know, if you have those two GPUs, which one do you buy, RX Vega or 1080? And based on price and power consumption, you'd go for the Nvidia offering instead of the AMD offering. So if you can't rely on that and you're just going off the Intel sales, not including cryptocurrency, if you're just doing Intel sales, and let's say they might take 50% of the market share. Intel is trading at about $15 right now, I think. Have a quick look, see. I think they're trading at about $35, yeah. So half of that, let's say you're taking half, let's just say it's half of that, it's $15. Yeah, if it's really good, it's $17.50, right? But you know, if that's how far it's gonna go from here, it'll go up to 17, and that's it. Then you have a risk of it going down a lot, and even that's going to take time to, you know, to take that kind of market share. Then it's not really amazing. You know what I mean? It's only you know, it's only the Intel side. It's only small. Yeah. So that's where we are. I know the market cap for this is, you know, it's 164.5 billion compared to the 11, right? So it could be a lot more, you know, based on that market cap. It's possible. It's possible. But I've done it the other way, the share way. If you want to do it like that, still, yeah, you could make huge gains. But we'll just have to wait and see. But next earnings, if I'm right, next earnings will be down, and then the earnings after that, which is again the what is that? So we're on the second quarter now, third quarter, fourth quarter earnings. Again, looking at January time, those are the ones that will be really good for AMD then, because end of year sales, it's normally good. And so I think if next earnings I'm in Nvidia, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll learn more as we go along, and we'll see any new deals that AMD makes, what's going on with AMD. And then early next year, my plan is stay out after December. So up to December, stay in. If it's gone up, you know, sell out, and then just stay out for a couple of months, let it drop, because there's always a drop, like in January, February time, according to my experience. I mean, the past few years. So wait for that drop, get back in, make 20-30%, and you're done. And I'm going to get out next year, and I'm going on holiday, to be honest. So I'm hoping. Let's see what happens. So yeah, so that's that, guys. I'm very sorry for the video being so long, but at least you have a new update from me. So guys, I'll see you next time. Take care, and thanks for watching once again. Danny out.